wanted to talk to you about mental illness among college students. So, about 2 months ago, I found this quote, and I just saw it on Instagram, and it caught my eye. And it says, mentally, the levels of stress, anxiety, and depression among college age students are high as they were in the 1950s for psychiatric patients in mental asylums. And I'd never heard anything like that before, and it kind of made me think that maybe this is really a big issue among college students. So, anxiety, it can look like a bunch of different things. It can look like hyperventilating. It can look like you're not being able to focus and you just have rapid thoughts. It can look like worrying, racing thoughts, fear, and a couple other different things. There's depression, which can look like excessive crying, and it can also look like lack of emotion, where you don't want to go out, you're stuck in your room, you don't really want to do anything. It can look like fatigue, insomnia, and a couple other things. There's also stress, which can look like insomnia and headaches, low energy, rapid pulse. And really, the combination of all these things is what makes mental illness a problem. It doesn't seem like, when you think of mental illness, you think of people who are in straitjackets, people who can't think right, but really it can be any of us, any day. All of us suffer from stress, anxiety, depression, even if we don't want to admit it, and maybe some of us don't. If you don't, let me know what your secret is. But stress, we are stuck with assignments every week, we are stuck with tests every week, quizzes, and they're usually about a week apart, and it doesn't really help a lot. Depression, we don't really get a social life because we're stuck studying or taking tests or in school or working to pay for our school. Anxiety, worrying about tests, worrying about the quizzes, worrying about how to get to work, how to get to class on time, worrying about your vehicle, all sorts of things. From the National Alliance of Mental Health Illness, 75% of lifetime mental health illness begins at age 24 or sooner, which is any college-age students. There would be a conversation if it wasn't as common as it is for college students: anxiety, stress, and depression. Now, there is help. We have some at EKU. I just took a screenshot of our website from the counseling. But another study from the National Alliance of Mental Health Illness, more than 40% of students reported very high stress the past 12 months, which seems very reasonable because we all experience stress at all times. More than 80% reported feeling dramatically overwhelmed the past year, and in 2011, students cited depression and anxiety to be the top reasons for reasons of poor academic performance, which is all from the National Alliance of Mental Illness. And having overwhelming things in our life is very common, with having a huge workload between school, and if you have sports you play, you're trying to get to different things in your life by still having a social life. There's many things that can overwhelm you in your life. So obviously, some of us don't go to counseling, so we cope other ways. There's obviously alcohol, there's Juuls, Desoron, there's drugs, any number of things we can use to cope, but some of them don't work. 40% of students with diagnosable mental health conditions didn't seek help. As I said, they go to other reasons, like we all do. And although there are locations, few actually go to seek help, which is from the Department of Psychology. And then 64% of young adults who are no longer attending college is because of a mental health related reason. So I'm going to give you a story about what happened to me, kind of along with anxiety. I had a rough day at school, so I went to hang out with my friends after, and we were taking a ride back to kind of like the back roads, and I take those roads to go to EKU. The music was loud, everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden my heart starts to race really bad. And I was sitting there and I'm taking deep breaths, and I was like, okay, that's a little weird. So I'm feeling my pulse, I'm trying to check myself, and I was like, okay. And then it got fast, and once I felt it, it freaked myself out, and I was like, oh wow, okay, maybe I'm having a heart attack. Racing thoughts, like I said. And I sat there for a second, I looked over at my friend, and I was like, my heart's beating really fast. She's like, really? And I was like, yeah, it doesn't feel right. And then it just went to a whirlwind of not being able to breathe. It felt like my lungs had this much room in them, and I just kept on gasping for air. And it went on for 10 minutes maybe. And she also has an anxiety problem, and her doctor prescribed her these medications for when she has panic attacks. And the only thing she could figure out what to do was give me one of those. About 3 minutes later, it all went away. I felt a little sick after when she said it would happen if you didn't need that in your body, which obviously I needed to go and talk to my own doctor or a counselor myself, which is what I ended up doing, because honestly, I did use those coping mechanisms. I still have my Sauron. It's not good for you, but I still use it. It's very nice. I used to have a Jewel, and I use other things. And then, so before it gets too bad, I always recommend to just go talk to your counselor or doctor first, or before you get into the whirlwind of too many coping mechanisms and other things. The demand for mental health services and support is expected to increase over the years, and this is also from the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and it's because more people are going to college, more people are going back to college, and it just keeps on going, so more students are likely to go into stress, anxiety, and depression. It's not just our job to look out for others and ourselves. Universities should also look into helping students. Some of the students around the U.S. have suggested mental health training for faculty, suicide prevention, peer-run organization, 24-hour hotline, and referrals to off-campus organizations that can help them. And I just want to leave you with, find your help before you feel you're classified as mentally unstable.
Okay, good. Okay, who's the, Ashley?
Okay, so like if some people have anxiety worse than others, and say like a student has an anxiety attack in class, how do you think a professor should have, like, how a professor should deal with that?
Okay, so the question was, if a person has a panic attack during class, how should the teacher react? I would first say, take the student out of class in the hallway where people are watching, because I feel you'd get thoughts in your head and people are watching you. It's embarrassing. So I'd say take them out to the hallway, see if they can get any